Hi everyone. I'm going to give you a few options for sitting on the ground, which for a lot of us is actually quite a bit harder than we think it's going to be and can make joining in with a yoga class quite arduous. So I would encourage you, if you know that getting up and down from the ground or sitting comfortably on the ground is a difficulty for you, have a play around with some of these ideas. Maybe practice them sat on a sofa, sat on the bed, sat on a chair, and build your confidence up so that you know what works for you and you can then make it your default option when you're in a yoga practice. So at the moment, I'm sat on a folded blanket. It's quite a thick blanket. It's for a double bed, and I've folded it, I think, 8 times. So I've got a good couple of inches of padding here, and it's also quite a dense weave. So this is not the time for your mohair blankets or something like that, because they'll just sink under your weight. You want something that will hold its shape. That's quite a good starting point for me for sitting cross-legged. I would find it difficult to stay here for a long time though. I can feel a little bit of a pull on my lower back. And that's what you're paying attention to when you find your seat. So whether you've got your legs crossed or out straight or maybe off to the sides, what matters is that your pelvis and your lower back are feeling well supported and comfortable. So we've got some options. The first one is I'm going to stick with the blanket for sitting on, but I'm going to add a little bit of support just behind me. So I'm going to slide this bolster up against the wall, and you could do this with a bolster in the wall, or you could do it just by sitting with your back to the sofa, something that's not coming up to your shoulder height. And now I've just got a little bit of extra support for my lower back. You can see the bolster's stopping just below my bottom rib. And that makes it a little bit easier to sit upright without straining my back. So that's option number one. Other options with the bolster include sitting on it. And you can obviously recreate this with any cushion. I would suggest a firm cushion rather than a squishier pillow type thing, because you want something that will keep its shape. And this is a little bit higher up than the blanket. My knees are definitely off the floor now. And the good thing about the bolster is it's long enough that I've got some padding free on either side of my legs, so I don't feel like I'm falling off it. If you find something that's the right height but not wide enough, fine too. Or work out a way to give it a stable base or a bit of support so that you really benefit from that. And again, I'm actually liking this more sat up against the wall. It just gives me a little bit of support here. I don't feel like I'm having to propel myself forwards in order to stay upright. So that's option number 2. And it might be that you like the support of the bolster, but your legs, you don't quite know what to do with them. That's where blocks can come in. So what happens if you sit cross-legged, but you pop blocks under your knees? Your legs have got a bit more of a structure there, and it might be that that's much more comfortable. Likewise, if you like to sit with your legs extended, but you find that it pulls on your knees to bring them down to the floor, coming back to the blanket and either taking a second cushion or a rolled up blanket, popping that under the knees can give you that extra support there. And I'm certainly finding this pose much more comfortable than if I was flat with my bottom on the ground and nothing under my knees. Okay. Last option here is using the blocks. And I would encourage you to play around with 2 block options here. 1 block's great, but be honest, is your bottom actually smaller than 1 block? It's probably not. So try 2 blocks next to each other. On their widest setting, you've got lots of support for your bottom and your thighs, and you're not too high up from the ground. If you like the idea of being a bit higher, consider stacking your blocks. So you've got a very firm base, and then you don't need to lower your bottom so far. So actually, for me, 2 blocks stacked, this is actually quite a comfortable position. I could stay here for some time. So lots of options there. If this is something where you'd like a little bit of help to make classes easier for you, send me a message and we can find a 10-minute session where we go through lots of options and see what works for you. And do let me know if you've got any other suggestions. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.